So we're gonna walk through a complete presentation today. We're gonna walk through, and it's going to take a while. So buckle up. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be as exciting as a Medicare phone sales script can be. But you're going to learn a lot, and I'm going to address the CMS guidelines that have come out for individuals selling Medicare over the phone and how that's applicable to this script. And so I'm going to get right into it here. Let's see, 10:59. I'll give people another minute. We'll waste a minute. Mary, good morning to you as well. If anybody else is out there wants to say good morning, go ahead and do so. In the comments, that would be. So, but again, we're going to go through. It's going to be lengthy, Mary. It's going to take some time to go through all this, but it's going to be, for those that aren't knowledgeable of this, it's going to be an education, and I am going to go through the rebuttals, and that's a big deal. How to manage when the call goes wrong. And guess what? That's what calls do. They go wrong right out of the gate. They say, I don't want to talk to you, right out of the gate. And that's what those are the that's a big deal, and I want to teach you how to handle that. Okay, so I have a script here, and I'm going to go to that script here. Hold on a second. I'll go to that script. This is a script. This is the master script. I think you can see it on your screen. Hey, Leah, how are you? Good to see you here. Leah, if you see the script here, this script is the master script. I want everybody to understand this right up front. There is no script that you can stay on and just stay on the script. That's a fallacy. There is no magic script. That does not exist. What you need is what's called a call flow. And this call flow should be structured in a manner which you can come in and out of it, because I assure you that your client, your prospect, the Medicare beneficiary, is going to take you off of that script. So don't think, and this is contrary to what anybody tells you, do not think that you can have a script and just be able to walk through the script. You're going to be challenged. You're going to have objections, rebuttals. You're going to have unusual circumstances. So you need to be able to maneuver in and out of that script and actually jump around in that script. Now, there is also the, hey, Malcolm, good to see you here. Oh, Mary, you're new to Medicare. That's good. That's good. I'm glad that you're getting started. And hey, Mary, it's a tough business, but there's a lot of people that thrive. Okay, so understand that. It's just that you've got to understand how to do this. You've got to have everything in alignment in order to thrive. And it starts with hard work, but that's another conversation for another time. Okay. Again, we have an opening, and the opening is always, people tell you, oh, you've got 5 seconds to get your customer's attention. 5 seconds, 7 seconds, 3 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever it is. I mean, no, it's the bottom line is, yes, you do have to grab them out of the gate. And there is an objection waiting for you out of the gate that prevents you from grabbing that customer's attention. But I'm going to go over here to... So we're on the script, and we are going to go over the opening, transitions. You lost audio, Mary? Did you lose audio? Is my audio back? That's my question. Okay. Well, I hope it's back. I'm not doing this for the fun of it. Okay, so the script, you have opening, and you do need to grab their attention. Again, whether that's measured in seconds or 30 seconds or 10 seconds, it doesn't matter, but you need to get their attention. You have transitions. You need to be able to transition. You have overcoming objections, so you're going to have rebuttals that are, thank you, Christian, I'm glad you can hear me. You're going to have built-in rebuttals that you're prepared. You're prepared. You've got to have rebuttals that prepare you for the objections that you undoubtedly are going to get. Now, there are some calls that are smooth as silk, but they come fewer and further between. So you've got to be prepared for these objections. We need to be able to qualify our customer. As you see there, we need to qualify our customer, and we need to be able to close that customer. So that's a big deal. But listen, if you do everything else properly, the close it's automatic. We have several people in this call that I know are here. Hey, Jeffrey, good to see you here. Dave, my good friend Dave Silverman is here, and Dave will attest. And Dave, you can make a comment if you like. The close happens naturally. All the work is in the way in advance of the close. The close just happens. You don't have to close them. And by the way, you should not close a senior. You shouldn't be like, it's not like I've got strong closing sales, I'm going to hammer this down. No, you're educating them and you're being an authoritative figure. I'm going to go to the next thing here. We want them to like us, believe what we say is correct. So they must believe what we say is correct. So they can like us, but not have confidence in us. So that's a major problem. So in other words, you might be just nice, but you may not come across as what it says here as an authoritative figure. That's what you must do. You must be an authority. You must present yourself as the doctor, lawyer, the CPA. And by that, I mean, when you go see them, they don't ask you what to do. They tell you what to do. They don't give you a physical examination and then make a suggestion. No, they tell you this is what you have to do. And that's what you must do as well. So they have to like us. They have to believe what we say is true and accurate. They have to have confidence in us. And then we have to have that authoritative presence to be able to tell them what to do, because that's why would we ask them if they want to do this or not? No, we tell them, here's how this is going to work. And we tell them what to do. Now, again, those three components are critical, that they like us, they believe in us, they believe what we say is true, and that they view us as an authoritative presence. That's critical to success. By the way, the one that may be least important is that they like us. But it is important that right out of the gate that you make a good impression, right? So let's see here. Good morning, Tiffany. Good to see you here. And Tiffany's another one that, and she's on our call, and she's another one that that will attest to how this works, that the people will do this. The sale isn't made at the close. The sale is made in the process. The sale is made up front. Now, I'm going to get into the opening here. So I have the opening here. I'm going to get into that. But before I do so, before I get into the opening, there's one other thing that we need to address. And that's, hold on a second. Hold on. I had it here a second ago. And, oh, here we go. All right. So we'll go back here. There's two things you have to be prepared with. You have to be prepared to go on a lengthy questioning process. Okay, so we have a script. Remember, the script is something we want to stick to. However, we need to have this lengthy question Q&A session, interrogation, if you will. We need to query this person and find out what we can sell them, what their needs are, what the troubles they've had. And it sounds a little bit like this. And by the way, this is a document that we give to our agents. So you can start off, or are you healthy? Are you taking any medications? Oh, how much do you pay for those medications? The questions are right here. Again, how's your health, or are you healthy? Do you have any health concerns? Those are all good questions. Do you take any medication for that? How much does that medication cost you? How about if you take name brand medications? How much do the name brand medications cost? Hey, do you have to see a doctor for that? How much does that cost you? What about the specialist? Have you been hospitalized? When you went in the hospital, you got out, and maybe 30 days later, you got a bill in the mail. And that bill, hey, Trisha Kroner, nice to see you as well. You got a bill in the mail, and that bill could have been thousands of dollars, or it could have been zero. But the bottom line is that you have to be able to ask all these questions. Who's your agent? Why did you choose that plan? By the way, when I ask that, it's like, why did you choose that plan? Always ask it like that. Why did you choose that plan? Okay? Because they're going to tell you. If you're going, this Q&A session that you're going to have with this client is going, this is important. And by the way, when you go into this question and answering session is dictated by the client, not your script. So you want to have a script. You need to disclose certain things, and we're going to go to the structure. So I'm not going to say, oh, you just need to wing it. We have structure, and I'm going to go to the structure of the script, but understand this has to happen. At some point, this question and answer session, you have an agent, correct? Oh, you do. How long have you had that agent? Do you like your agent? Who's your agent? Okay, and they'll say, they may say, yes, I like my agent. When's the last time you saw them? Oh, when you bought your plan. So how long ago did you buy your plan? 3 years ago? Oh, so you really don't have an agent, right? You don't. But listen, I'm going to be your agent from now on. Because by the way, this is where you establish rapport, and you can uncover things, because they will tell you they have an agent, and they will tell you, they may say, yes, I like my agent. And then when you talk to them, you may find out they've never ever spoken with that agent. Never. And then you say, well, really, you don't have an agent, right? But you deserve to have one, and I'm going to take over that role for you as of now. And then you just move on. And that's an authoritative, that's a power statement. I'm going to take over that role of your agent. I'm going to make sure you're okay in the future. Let's keep moving, okay? And again, it's you want to keep moving. You want to ask all these questions. So again, I want to go back again. Why did you choose that plan? And they may say, well, my brother has the same plan. Or my next door neighbor bought it, and I got the same agent as my next door neighbor. So all these things are to be uncovered. You may want to ask them, hey, what'd you do during your working years? Okay, that's a good question. Now, there's one other thing. So that's a preface to the presentation. This Q&A is a preface to that I want to make that is going to be laid upon this presentation, but where and when, and it may be broken up due to conversation and the way that the call flow goes. You may have to break this up in its different sections. Okay, now listen, there's one other preface that I want to make here, and that is that I teach a 4-product progression. Okay, I don't want agents to be one-trick ponies, because there's different reasons for that, but just understand, you need to be able to transition to other products. And this presentation does have transitions. You need to be able to transition to other products, because guess what? You may find somebody that likes you, that believes you, okay, believes what you say is good information, and they may consider you an authoritative presence, but you can't sell them Medicare because you found out their brother-in-law is their agent or something like that. Or they have an agent, they're with this plan, they've been with that plan for 5 years, their agent visits them every single year and makes sure they're okay. You don't want to replace an incumbent agent that visits with their client every year and takes care of them, because what's going to happen? They're going to knock you back out. And you're going to get a rapid refund or a rapid disenrollment, I believe is what they call that. And you don't want rapid disenrollments, all right? Now, so you want to be able, again, you need to be able to transition, and our transitions are Medicare, final expense, indemnity, and annuity. Now, don't get uptight. I'm not going to say you got to learn all about annuities today, because you're not going to learn all about annuities today, nor are you this week or this month. But there are ways that you can capitalize on this in the future. But just understand you need a progression of products. So number one, you're not going to sell everybody because you can't. Well, why in the world, if you made a friend and these people believe in there, you've created a client, hey, Chuck Wojak, good to see you. If you've made a client, why would you not sell them something else? Makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. And to not sell them, to not have a second product, and that final expense is a good product. It's a natural transition. The hospital indemnity is a natural transition. The annuity, once you've sold other products, is a natural transition. Hey, by the way, earlier in the conversation, you mentioned that you have a 401k and you wanted to roll that over. I think I can help you out with that. We're going to stick with the Medicare today, but I want to get back to you on that 401k, right? Makes sense, doesn't it? So you can be their family agent over the phone. Clients will love you over the phone. Where's Dave Silverman? He'll tell you. But let me get back now. Let me get back to my presentation here, and let's start going through. Start going through this methodically. And here we are. So we have our opening, and okay, so we have internet leads, we have phone leads, we have all kinds of leads, right? We have direct mail leads. And we're going to start with, I believe we're going to start with an internet lead. This could be a Facebook lead, Google lead, whatever you want to call it. Hey, Curtis McMichael, good seeing you again, my friend. The internet lead is a lead. By the way, you got to call these back quickly. That's critical, as you call them back quickly. But you can start off with like this. Just as it says on the script here in front of you. Hello, is this Bob? Hey, Bob, this is Nick Williams. You just requested information on Facebook regarding your Medicare benefits. They gave me your name and told me to call you. How's it going? So that's one question. Or you could say, what was it that concerned you about your Medicare benefits that you wanted to speak to somebody? So at the next paragraph here, you see both of these are open-ended questions. Those are good questions, right? Open-ended. You don't want to ask somebody, did you want to talk to an agent today? No. So open-ended questions are good questions. The important thing is you present this opening with energy and enthusiasm. That's important. You must have a positive disposition, if you will. Your vibe, your aura, whatever you want to call it. You got to come off positive. You don't want to be negative. And you, again, bring some energy to the table. These people may be on medication. They may have arthritis and their joints hurt. They may be distracted by television. You got to come on strong, right? Hey, they're watching Judge Judy, and here you go. How are you going to break through that? You're going to break through it because you bring some energy to the table. By the way, when I'm telling you this stuff, what I'm telling you is the facts. Anybody tells you anything different, they're wrong. I work with call centers I've trained call centers. Last year for 8 months, I did a project with a call center, hundreds of telemarketers with live transfers. And guess what happened on those live transfers? The same thing that would happen with the same type of reaction on a live transfer as would happen if you were to call somebody cold a lot of times. So these people are distracted, even on a live transfer. The only people that really get the easy sale are maybe those, let's say it's AARP or something like that, and they're calling in. They know they want this. They're calling in, and they're just going to sign up, okay? So there are those calls, but it's not going to be the typical call. And by the way, when you get those type of calls, typically those type of calls are, you're in a call center environment, and that call center environment is such that you are not paid as an independent contractor, but instead a W-2 employee, and you're not building a business. That's a job, okay? So it's different. In an ideal situation, let's get back to the script here. In an ideal situation, the client responds to one of the above options in a positive manner, and a fluid conversation starts. So in an ideal situation, we have a positive conversation at this point, and a fluid conversation, if you will, and everything is fine. However, that may not be the case. So, all right, one of the worst things that you can have happen is that you have somebody that they're not responsive. So you can have somebody that's nasty or something like that, or objects to your very presence on their phone. But another bad scenario, or a scenario that's uncomfortable, is when the person is non-responsive. You're just not getting anything back from them. So you may have to go to the next line. Hey, Bob, so Bob says, well, whatever, you know. So you may have to say, Bob, typically when, again, you may have to carry the conversation forward. You don't want to do an opening line and falls flat and just go, well, I'm going to, you know, you don't want to look like you got caught in a manner that you don't know what to say. So you want to move forward. Bob, typically when somebody requests help on their Medicare, it's usually to lower their cost. Let's move back here. We're on the script. It's usually to lower their cost or improve their coverage. In most cases, I'm able to achieve either of those objectives. When did you become eligible for Medicare? Again, I'm asking an open-ended question. When did you become eligible for Medicare? Look, other questions will work here, okay? This isn't the only question. And by the way, there are people on this call that they are good at this, okay? And some of these people, I've trained them, but they do things entirely different. You'll develop your own presentation because it will become, you'll say what's natural, but you've got to have a framework. All right. So in our framework is that we're going to the next question. And it's not a yes/no question. In this case, that question is, when did you become eligible for Medicare? Good question, because it enables us to gather information, and at the same time, it's something that moves the customer forward. So we're gathering information and we're moving the customer forward. Great. Before we get started, I need you to write something down. Can you grab a pen and paper? Now, this isn't a mandatory. Again, these things don't always work. So they may say, I don't have a pen and paper, but you may want to tell them, grab a piece of paper and a pen and write this information down for me. I want you to take my phone number in case you have to call me back. And then, and I also want you to have my license number, and you can do this, you don't have to. Sometimes that makes people feel comfortable. This is just to get them involved. It's not that you need to give them your phone number or your license number or anything. You don't need to. As a matter of fact, I've never given them a license number. That's just what people do. You can involve them in the process. Again, now, remember, if we back up and it's a fluid conversation, you're just having a fluid conversation. You don't have to ask them. If I'm having a fluid conversation, I'm not asking them, I'm not stopping what I'm doing to tell them to get a pen and piece of paper. But if they're just distant and I'm not getting anything, this is a tool. Again, think of your presentation as a tool. You want to be able to come in and out of it, use some things sometimes and not use them other times. If somebody says, look, I just want to get signed up for this plan, I've been watching these Humana commercials, and I want that Humana Medicare supplement, my buddy has the same thing, can you get me signed up? So you want to skip a lot of things, right? You don't need to ask a lot of things. You still want to go to those questions, what I call those top 10 questions. Great, Bob. I'll get you on that Medicare, that Humana Medicare supplement plan, but let me ask you, are you healthy? Okay, do you take, and they'll say they have diabetes or something. And by the way, this is where you establish yourself as the pro, okay? This is where you establish yourself as being smart. So, Mary, you said you're new to this and you need to be able to get confidence. You get confidence in the conversation. When they say they have diabetes, you say, are you on metformin or do you take insulin? Okay? Well, and odds are 90% of the time it's either way. They say, well, I take metformin. Good. Well, great. So that's no big deal. Do you also have high blood pressure? Because oftentimes when people have diabetes, they have high blood pressure. They say, yes, I do. What do you take? Metformin, lisinopril, metoprolol. Do you take HCTZ, which you may know as hydrochlorothiazide? Okay, so you sound like you're smart. But you've heard these things 1,000 times. But you're discussing things in a manner that enables you to present yourself as being pretty smart about this stuff. Now, also, when somebody has high blood pressure, what else are they typically diagnosed with? Cholesterol. So, do you also have cholesterol? Oh, you do. Are you taking a statin drug, a atorvastatin, simvastatin, something along those lines? Now we are allowing ourselves to, and by the way, Mary, you're going to see these same things over and over and over. Okay, so you'll know these things. And by the way, you Google top medications, and it'll tell you the top medications. Oh, Shrinisha Sharma, scam artist spotted. Hey, good to see you, Shreyansha Sharma? But anyhow, sorry for butchering your name, but I just couldn't help but to see that comment. Having said that, you need to, you'll be able to identify these medications, but you can Google these things. And you can Google top medications, top 50 medications, and you will get these medications. You'll be able to know all these medications. And by the way, you will, okay, there's other ones. Like if somebody says they have a thyroid disorder, it's usually levothyroxine, okay, that they take. If somebody, again, you'll know the medications. And that's what enables you to, these type of things enable you to demonstrate that you know what you're doing. Okay, so let's get back to the presentation. And the presentation, it goes, the next thing is we want to move the conversation forward, okay? Again, if they don't have a pen and paper handy, we want to, we'll say that's fine, let's just keep moving, okay? Let's just keep moving. And we'll go to the next question. Let me ask you, Bob, have you ever discussed your Medicare needs over the phone? Okay, that's a good question. Have you ever discussed your Medicare needs over the phone? If they say yes, great, let's get started, okay? If they say no, just say, okay, let me explain how it works. Either way, you go to the next step. Is tell them, listen, this is really no different than if you would have a family agent, an agent that will come to your home. I'll help you now, and I'll be here to provide services ongoing into the future. Typically, we'll speak over the phone 3 to 4 times before we finish what needs to be done. That's a takeaway, okay? That's a takeaway. So we probably aren't going to be able to complete the process on this call. Now, I say that's a takeaway. Typically, we will speak over the phone 3 to 4 times before we finish what needs to be done. It's not necessarily true that we're going to speak over the phone 3 to 4 times, but we disarm them. We allow them to relax. We allow them to not feel as though, uh-oh, I got somebody, they're going to try to sell me something here today. We very well may sell them something, but we don't have to do it on this call, okay? And we don't have to, and oftentimes, it's not going to happen on this call. Okay, I'm not going to go into when you call them, how often you call them, how fast you call them, when you call them back, and all that stuff. That's another conversation. But understand that you want to address this, all right? Now, next, one other thing. I represent all the companies and get you the lowest rates and best plans from each of them. Just so you're clear, Bob, we get the lowest rates available. Some people waste a lot of time calling the companies direct, thinking they can get a lower rate. They can't. Look, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to agents where they said they've talked to a client, called them back a week later. When the client said, well, call me back next Tuesday, they call them back next Tuesday, and the client says, oh, I just called United Healthcare and signed up. Well, you had United Healthcare, right? You had United Healthcare. They should have bought that from you. You need to tell them. You cannot get that cheaper elsewhere. If anybody has any questions, I will address some questions in the midst of this because I can't just keep rolling with this this energy. I'll have to take a break at some point. But if you have some questions, I will address your questions. I like to keep them to the end, but intermittently, I will take some questions. So, let's keep moving here. Some people waste a lot. Again, they will end run you thinking they can get that insurance somewhere else. Let me tell you something. These people will try to bypass you. They will forget you is what happens. Remember, they're old. They're old people. Inherently, they're old, and they forget that they spoke to you. All right, let's go back here. And a point that I want to make here, it says always use first name unless you are fundamentally opposed to doing so. Always call them by their first name. Because remember, we want them to like us. And so we want them to think of us as a friend. Okay? Yes, we want them to think of us as an authoritative presence, but we want them to think of us as a friend. I'm not going to call Mr. Smith. Hey, Bob, how's it going? Mary, how's it going? Christian, how's it going, right? If I call you Christian, you're going to, that's Christian on the call, not a Christian. Hey, Christian. You see the Bible stuff or somewhere, like, oh, hey, Christian. No, don't do that. But you use their first name, okay? You use their first name. And that, Again, unless you're fundamentally opposed to it, and some people are. Some people they just have this inherent thing in them. In the South, they'll call them people like, they might say Miss Mary. Hello, Miss Mary, how are you? Or something like that. It's just what they do, and they can't help themselves. It's okay if it's natural. And if it's what you do and it's natural, it's what you do. And guess what? Now, some people, they might find that a little odd. I have people call me Mr. Nick, and I always find it to be odd if somebody calls me Mr. Nick, anyhow. All right, let's get back here. And remember to utilize tone and modulation in your voice, okay? I just did it. Use tone and modulation in your voice, right? To make points, all right? Maybe you need to bring it down some. It's hard for me to do, but I can. I can bring it down some if I need to make a point, right? So that's your tool. You have modulation. You have the ability. Don't be monotone, okay? If you're monotone, now listen, if If that's just the way you are, that's the way you are. But you should have the ability to manage your voice. It's your power tool, okay? You can't shake their hands, you can't look in their eyes unless you go on a Zoom. Still not the same, right? So what do you got? You got your voice. Learn to manage your voice, okay? Learn to change your tone. Bring it down if you need to, okay? And then sometimes you need to bring it up, right? So, you can be dramatic about it. Guess what? They're on the phone. They don't hear what you're saying in the same way you think you're projecting. So if you bring it way down because you really have an important point to make, that may be something you want to do. And be dramatic about it, okay? Or if you really need to go high, go high. It's okay. Look, it never hurts to make an impact. And again, right out of the gate, you want to make an impact. And you don't want to lull them into a sleep. Now, all right, something's coming up here. Something big is coming up here. Let's see. All right, here it is. It's important that you ensure the client understands that they can't cut you out and save you money by calling the company. Okay, we're moving forward. Understand the most common objection is lurking right up front. Be prepared for this. Again, this is the big objection and it derails most agents. Look, right up front, everything I'm saying, everybody who's worked on the phone. I know some people here who worked on the phone, and I see some names of people on this call that have worked on the phone, that work the phones, and they know this, okay? They know that the people are going to tell you a good percentage. I didn't want to talk to anybody, right? Mary, this is what you're going to get if you're on the phone. And this is what scares people. Everybody I talk to says they didn't want an agent to call them. Then they're like, man, those leads are no good. No, you're weak. It's not the leads are no good, you're weak. You have to be strong. Do you know that it's in the process, in the customer journey, we'll call it, because remember, this is your journey to a close. You want to develop rapport. You want to establish that you are a smart person, that you should be believed, what you say, that you are also, the next thing is that you're an authoritative presence. You are to be listened to. Not just that what you say is true and accurate, but that you can tell people what to do. They have a journey too. That first part of their journey is to deny you even the ability to speak to them. My instinct reaction is to tell this person I don't want to talk to them. Right out of the gate. And guess what? It's just part of their journey. Their journey. By the way, the end of their journey is that they are your advocate, that they promote you, that they refer you to people, that they're a fan of yours, that they believe in you and they want to help you. But in the beginning, they want to tell you, I'm not interested. They want to tell you, I don't want to talk to an agent. They want to tell you that you guys all sound the same and I'm not interested in this, okay? So you need to, they may be hostile in tone, they may be just dismissive of you, but understand this one thing, everything they say at this point, in a vast majority of them, is just dismissing you, okay? They're just dismissing you. They are dismissing you and the weak agents fold, okay? Understand this, the weak agents fold. The strong agents will dismiss this dismissal of them. So here's what it sounds like. I didn't want to talk to an agent. I'm not interested in this stuff. Hey, I understood that you didn't want to talk to an agent. However, it's important that your benefits are taken care of, you get all the benefits you're entitled to, and that you save as much money as possible. Having said that, again, when did you become eligible for Medicare? Right? You just handle that objection. right? And then at the end of the objection, you ask a question and move it forward. Take them to the next step. Because if you were just to say, hey, I understand you didn't want to talk to an agent. However, it's important that you get all the benefits you're entitled to, right? What are they going to do? Because your last word, they had an objection, you had a rebuttal, and you stopped. Now, what do you got? You've got a confrontation. It's a challenge. They will say, well, no, I'm just not interested. Goodbye. But if you end that rebuttal with, when did you become eligible for Medicare? Now, we're not talking about that they're not interested in talking to an agent. Now we're talking about when they became eligible for Medicare. So you're doing them a favor. You're taking them out of the fight, out of the objection, and you're moving them to enabling them to move forward without having to be defeated, okay? So if they have an objection and you have a rebuttal and then you say, so there, I make a good point, don't I? No, they'll be like, no, you don't. Not as good as my objection. I don't want to talk to an agent. And they win the argument. They will win, they just hang up the phone. But if you move them to, so when did you become eligible for Medicare? Or 50 other questions. It could be, you could say, is your spouse also covered under the same plan as you? Right? So they're like, well, yeah, he is, or she is, she is. You know, great. So, and then you can move forward. Always end a rebuttal by moving the conversation to the next square, if you will. The next square, you know, on the chessboard, if you will. So you've got to be ready for this. I call it the elephant in the room, okay? And the elephant in the room is that we get them on the phone and we know a good majority of these people right up front are going to reject us, right? We know that coming out of the gate. We know that we're going to be rejected right out of the gate. So be ready. And you can acknowledge that you can use, okay. Again, I'm going to go back to the script here. This is the prospect dismissing you, and it will be effective against weak salespeople. They will fold like a cheap suit at this objection. Instead, you'll respond with the following. Bob, nobody wants a salesman calling them in a laughing tone. You can use levity here. I'll just address helping you out with your monthly payment or your benefits, whatever Bob said he was having a problem with, and we'll go on from there. So, when did you take that plan out? Right? Again, I need to end this with a question. All right? I need to move this forward. You can use feel, felt, found. All right? I understand how you feel. Most people I speak to have felt the same way. However, after doing so, in other words, I don't want to talk to you, Nick. Bob, I understand you don't want to speak to an agent. Most people I speak to have felt the same exact way as you. However, after speaking with me, they found that they can save a bunch of money and improve their Medicare benefits. And they're glad they did speak to me. So Bob, again, I want to ask you, when did you become eligible for Medicare? So, does that make sense? Hey, by the way, if anybody on here has a question, I'm fine to take a break. All right, let's see here. So feel, felt, found works. Or this next, you basically say, I understand, and then you see here in parentheses, doesn't matter what the objection is, you just throw it in there. I understand you're watching television. I understand you already took care of this. I understand you have an agent. I understand you don't want to talk to an agent. I understand that you're busy. I understand you don't like the sound of my voice. However, it's important that you get all the benefits you're entitled to at the lowest cost. So let's see if I can help out. Is your spouse on the same plan, Bob? Right? I moved it forward. Well, no, I'm single. Oh, okay. Hey, let me ask you, Bob, when did you become eligible for Medicare? So I want to keep moving it forward. And then I want to, again, as it says here, I want to quickly transition back to the script where I left off. Again, as it says here, you've ignored your knee-jerk objection and moved quickly back to the script. If the prospect has conviction in their objection, what this means is if their objection is true, if they really don't want to talk to you, if they really have an agent that they truly like, they're going to stop you and they're going to say, hey, I told you I don't want to talk to you, right? Or they're going to hang up. But don't fold. That's the point. Don't fold. All right. Let's see. Okay, sales pro tip. Okay, and the sales pro tip here is when you answer objection, always end the rebuttal to the objection with an open-ended question. And we've addressed that. The script is going to go in one of the following directions at this time. Remember, this is probably where, hey, Bob, by the way, I want to ask you, how's your health, man? How's your health? And do you take medication for that? How long have you been taking that medication? How much does it cost? Do you have any other medications? Do you have any name brands? How much do they cost? Who's your doctor? Do you like your doctor? How long have you had your doctor? Okay, you've got to get those questions because the people on this call know, the people with experience on this call know that sometimes everything comes back to who their doctor is. Because they may have a doctor that's in a certain plan and there may be no other plan that has that doctor. Not normally the case, which means you can do nothing for that customer because they love their doctor. Their mama had the same doctor. Their next door neighbor has the same doctor. As a matter of fact, when they visit the doctor, they all three get in the car and go together when they visit the doctor. You're not changing them. You're not going to change them. You will not be, and you shouldn't change them. So what do? Transition, right? You don't just stop what you're doing and try to sell them final expense. You continue to go on, ask them questions, maintain the course, okay? Find out who their agent is, find out how their health is, ask all those questions. Hey, by the way, we have not mentioned CMS and we have not mentioned scope of appointments at this time because it's not necessary, okay? We've not discussed Medicare Advantage. This is not a Medicare Advantage lead. If I got a Medicare Advantage lead, I don't even want one, okay? Because I don't need a Medicare Advantage lead. That's when they have a permission to contact form and stuff like that, or it's an approved, leads coming in off an approved Medicare Advantage advertisement or something like that. But we're not talking about that yet. We will get to that, all right? Do you ever call back hang-ups or do you just let them go? Jeff, you do call back hang-ups. I call them back and say, hey, I think we got disconnected. And then they might say, I mean, why not? Why would you not call them back? They hang up with you. Hey, we got disconnected. But let's get back to the Medicare. When did you first become eligible? They might say, who is this person? What, they're calling me back? But they might say, all right, I'll talk to you. All right. So the way I position this is that your client needs to give in to you. They have to acknowledge. Now, see, first you have to grab their attention, then you have to hold their attention. But at some point, you just need to have a conversation. It cannot be 30 minutes of you trying to keep them on the phone. All right? It could be. No, it can be. But at some point, they have to give into you that they acknowledge that they want information from you, and you're going to have a conversation, and that conversation is going to take as long as it takes. Guess what? They're home. They're old. They got no job. They can talk to you all day. Right? Curtis? They can talk to you all day long. They say they're busy, but oftentimes they're not. All right. I don't know where the heck I was there. But I have the script to keep me in line, and that's what the script is for. The script is there to keep you on track. All right, they're going to throw curveballs at you. They're going to say stuff like they're going to start talking about somebody else in the house. You know, so my husband is on hospice. What about that? You're like, oh, okay. Now, that's a whole nother conversation. My husband is on hospice. What do I do about that? Well, now you may have to address that. And you know, but so again, it takes you off the script is what it does. You need to be able to go back to the script. So if they have an agent, you need to be able to transition, which was where I was before. But you don't want to do it right away. Now, we're going to go in one of several directions at this point. So we've had a conversation with them, right? We've established rapport. They like us. We've established that we've gone through our questions. We've questioned them to death, as I like to say sometimes. We know. Usually they're going to tell us what health insurance plan they have. They told us all about their high blood pressure, their bunions, or whatever else it is that they have. But now we want to say, okay, we want to move the conversation forward again. So if it's a T65, and again, this is going back to the script. So I'm going to go back to the script. And this is a T65 because we're going to go in one of several areas here. One is MedSup, open enrollment T65, MedSup, medically underwritten, and it shows you right here on the script. Medicare Advantage, open enrollment, or Medicare Advantage SCP. Let's start with the T65. And now I want to ask the people, are you well versed in Medicare? All right? Now, when I'm asking them if they're well versed in Medicare, I always want to have in front of me, Trish, as far as niches, give me an example. When you say niches, I need to know, when you say niches, are we talking about like T65? Or are we, so can you clarify that, what you define the niche as you're referring to it? Because I can go T65s, I can go 66 to 75 or 66 to 80, whatever people are comfortable with on switchers. I can do that type of niche, but you need to tell me what type of niche you're referring to, Trish. But listen, while we're here, so on my script I can say, Bob, are you well versed in Medicare, right? That's a good question, isn't it? Are you well versed in Medicare? How much you know about this stuff? All right? This can be a conversation starter, also can be an opportunity to demonstrate your expertise in the realm of Medicare benefits. Remember, like us, believe what we say is correct. See us as an authoritative figure. When discussing prescriptions with the Medicare beneficiary, you have an opportunity to gain credibility and establish yourself as an expert. We've already discussed that. At this point, you can discuss it. You can disclose as much information as you feel necessary to further solidify your relationship with the client. I suggest going to page 5 of the Medicare and You book and explain part A, B, and D. You can't explain part C at this time, which gives you a trial close. No matter what they say, this is the answer. All right? So when I say no matter what they say, if you're not getting anywhere with them and you need to progress the conversation forward, you just need to move it forward. They're turning 65, okay? And they really, they're just basically, it's a process. And you can see you're going to have to go through this complete process. They're not just one of those people who are going to jump on it. Can you just get me one of those Medicare supplements? Or I want that Humana Gold Plus plan. My sister has it. She told me to get that same plan. Okay? They didn't say anything like that. Now we need to go to our book, right? So I'm going to tell them, I'm going to say, listen, Bob, did you get the Medicare and You book? Did you get the Medicare and You book? On page 5 of that book, whether they got it or not, if they didn't get it, they very well may have. But if it's not that close to effective date of Medicare, they will not have received the book yet. You can say, well, listen, I got your book in my hands right here. And on page 5, what it does is it explains how Medicare works. There's part A, which is your hospital, B is your doctors, and then there's D, which is your drug card. Now you can get, which is your drugs, okay? And you'll definitely want those covered. So you can get, when you turn 65, you'll automatically get Medicare Part A. And unless you request, and which it is a request, you must request. You have to sign something and send it in to say, I do not want Part B. Unless you do that, you're going to get Part B as well. You will then have to buy a drug card. I'll help you with that, and a Medicare supplement. So that's one option you have, okay? And I can help you set all this up. Or there's another option. Now, you can speak about this in general, but you cannot speak about specific plans. And you don't want to dig down too far into this. Or you get what's called a Part C. Again, you just go through this and start explaining it. It's all right here. Have the book in front of you. And if they have the book, say, look, get the book. And I'll go through it with you. They can have the book in their hand. And you can have it. But I always refer to this as your book says. And then I might go to, and I write down the pages of the book, numbers of pages of the book that I want to refer to for other things, okay? So page 75 and 76 is the Medicare supplement pages. Page 91 is extra help. I may want to refer to those pages. I write them right down in the front of the book. So I can go right to them. And I know what they are, so I'll go to page 75. If they want to talk about Medicare supplements, I go right to page 75, okay? And I discussed that all Medicare supplements are basically the same. I can read the information. The only difference is the actual, the plans are basically the same standardized plans. So now you can go to the next page, which is the grid, the Medicare supplement grid. So you can see on this page, Bob, that a plan G is a plan G is a plan G. And you can see the only thing that it doesn't pay is your Part B deductible. So anyhow, I got the book there. So I can go into that conversation. Hey, Tricia, I do not, my niche is Medicare. So I don't go down with the VA benefits or high deductible. I don't do that. I don't narrow myself in such a manner because I don't have to, because I think if I were to do that, I'd have to have a whole lot of veterans to call on. So now I do understand the Medicare benefits for veterans, and I do know that if somebody has VA benefits, I still want to sell them a Medicare Advantage plan to wrap around their Medicare benefits. So yes, I do fully understand that, but to me, Medicare is a niche itself, okay? And I got my progression of products, a Medicare final expense indemnity annuity. So I want to go through that progression of products, and that's it. I can handle any of these situations. You know what? Every once in a while something weird comes up that I can't handle, but most of the time I can handle everything. All right. All right, let's see here. All right, we are past this point. We've talked about Medicare Part A, B, and C. By the way, again, we still haven't gone into scope of appointment or CMS the CMS guidelines. I think it might be time that we do discuss the new guidelines. I don't have to worry about them. Not until I know that this client is going to purchase a Medicare Advantage plan, and I then, at that point, I would then say, I've got to call them. Now, there's this whole recorded phone call process that's coming up. I'm not going to go into the mechanics of how that's done, but certainly you would have some means to record a phone call. I don't know. I think it's primarily for call centers, and I think it's primarily for call centers, and I think that I may be wrong, but I think that they're going to end up making that ruling just for call centers. Again, I could be wrong there. and I hope I'm not wrong, but it looks as though they're going to make it for everybody, is what it looks like today. I hope that they change that. But oftentimes what will happen is, first of all, I'm not going to record anything until I have somebody on the line that wants to discuss Medicare Advantage, okay? They have to bring that up, and then I can discuss Medicare Advantage. They bring that up. I say, well, in order to have that conversation, I need to do what's called a scope of appointment, and I can do that by voice. I can do it by text. I can do it by email, okay? And then at that point, I got to record that phone call. At that point, see, I want to have everything. I will have already established everything. By the way, you don't want to go there out of the gate. If you went to if you scope them right out of the gate, you couldn't ask all those health questions. Once you scope somebody for Medicare Advantage, they can disclose anything they want, but the only information you can ask them about their health, well, really, there's none. You can't ask them about their health. It used to be you could ask them about the kidney disease. So if they have end-stage renal disease, okay? But you can't even ask that now because that's not even a question on the application anymore. So you can't ask them any health questions. The only questions you can ask them about medical really are to qualify them for chronic, okay? So you would ask them, if you have this condition, you qualify for this plan. Or you can ask them the medications they wish to disclose so that you can determine where they are on whether they are in the formulary of a particular Medicare Advantage plan and at what tier those drugs are, okay? So I'm not going down that road. I'm not talking about that. You know why? Because I may very likely not sell them Medicare Advantage. And why do I want to pigeonhole myself into this Medicare Advantage thing? I'm not a Medicare Advantage salesman. I'm a Medicare agent. I sell Medicare, final expense, indemnity, and annuities, okay? I don't have to pigeonhole myself and say, oh, I've got to get on the phone and tell this person I might sell them Medicare Advantage and I need to scope them and then go right into a Medicare Advantage presentation. That would be an injustice to the client because they may not want that. I need to ask them questions to determine what plan they should have. Right. You mean you would fill out the scope for them or call one of the health insurance? Jeffrey, what I would do is I would not fill out the scope of appointment for them. There's voice scopes, and we cover this in our morning meetings, Jeff, which you are part of. So we'll cover that. We can text them a scope, and we can email them a scope. And either way, I have those three options. Okay, so I'm not going to do the scope for them. No. To answer that question. All right, but I hope that everybody understands this. And by the way, I can then, by establishing this rapport, I can then say, listen, and again, I don't know the mechanics of this right now. This new rule is in effect for the recording phone calls. And again, it may not be a big to-do, and we're going to work around it, and it's all going to be fine. But I can tell them, listen, at this point, I'm going to record this call. And I'm going to do a very factual CMS presentation for this plan, okay? So, and this is by rules. I have to record the call. And again, it's Medicare, CMS guidelines, Medicare guidelines, whatever it is that this person will understand. So I will be more matter of fact now, but just understand that, in order to get to see this through and get you signed up for a Medicare Advantage plan, this is what I must do, okay? But see, but I can do that now. because I've already laid all this groundwork. They already like me. They already trust me. I've already established that I'm an authoritative, have an authoritative presence. They're already kind of sort of eating out of my hand, okay? So I don't need, I can now do that recorded phone call comfortably. So, but listen, if you had to call somebody and do and record the phone call right out of the gate, which call centers do have to do, CMS approved call centers do have to do, you know, that's a whole different ball game. That's establishing rapport. Do they like me? Am I establishing that should be a trusted source of information? Am I an authoritative presence? That's all that would be a whole task, but I don't do that, all right? I'm not going to do that because I don't have to, and neither do you. All right, let's move on to our next thing here. Let's go back to the script. All right. Okay. When you are new to Medicare, okay. So, and this is going into, I'm discussing when you're new to Medicare, there's several important things to keep in mind. There's no medical underwriting required to get approved. New to Medicare beneficiaries qualify for guaranteed enrollment. The sooner we get you locked in, potentially the lower your rate is. We can lock your rate in for up to 1.5 years. This is of great benefit and potentially saves you a lot of money. By the way, that's a closing tool. With some companies like Mutual of Omaha, you can lock them up for a year, lock their rate in for 1.5 years. Mutual of Omaha will let you lock in the rate 6 months out, and then so they get their rate as of the recording of this training session. So you get the rate up for the 6 months, you're locked in, while other companies are changing the rates in that period. You're locked in. Then you get the year of locked in rate. So that's 18 months. So you can do that, okay? And you tell them, you can't do that later. You can only do that now. So your rates may change, all right? And you get that trial period. So that's a close that you can use. Somebody could go on Medicare Advantage and on a trial period, and for the first 12 months, they could switch to a Medicare supplement. I don't like doing that. I feel like if a person qualifies for a plan, I'll go to the script here. If a person qualifies for, if the best plan for the person is the best plan, I typically will not do this qualifier program. So, but in the script here, again, it says, Bob, you have the opportunity to try out the Medicare Advantage plan. In doing so, you sign up for the Medicare Advantage plan. And if during the first 12 months you determine you don't like it, you have a guaranteed option to go to the Medicare supplement. Hey, you may have reason to do that. If they answer yes, you go to the enrollment tool and see what's available for them and close them for that time, close them for that product. By then, again, they're just going to do what you tell them to do. We've gone way down the road here. By the way, Mary, you're new to this. These conversations, this is an hour later. As long as it's taking me to get to this point, which I don't even know how long it is. It's 12 o'clock. We've been doing this for an hour. And listen, we're not done. We're going to keep going until we get this done. As long as it takes me to go through this, it's going to take you to go through this with your client often. So understand that. This is a process. This doesn't happen fast. Okay. Again, we should have enough information at this time to tell them what to do. Okay? And I say consider going to Nick's top 10 questions, which are all those questions we discussed at this point. You can do this at any time. The opening is as easy as, so Bob, how's your health? Remember, those top 10 questions. We want to go to those top 10 questions. Start here and proceed with the list of questions in the document. It's in the library, so that's in our Facebook group, I believe. It is in our Facebook group, as a matter of fact. Remember, as people age, they're easy to engage in conversation about their health. So the reason I put that there is that you understand that this is not a violation of their privacy. They talk about this. They talk about their health all the time. It's what they talk about. When they were 18 years old, they would talk about boyfriends and girlfriends. When they're 35 years old, they talk about careers. When they're 45 or 50, they talk about the career they wish they'd have had, right? When they're 65, they talk about their health. That's what they talk about. So, and look, they'll talk about this stuff all day long. That's what they do. Okay, now, transition to the Medicare supplement close. So here we are. We know what's going to happen now because we've asked them 50,000 questions, right? So we know what's going to happen. And based on our conversation, the program that most suits you is a Plan G Medicare supplement. With this plan, you will pay your Part B deductible, which is only for outpatient physician services. The end effect is that you will not have an out-of-pocket cost for doctor visits after that or hospital visits. I have a search tool pulled up on my computer screen that will shop all of the plans in your area and give you the best rates. What is your zip code, Bob? All right, what is your zip code? Then I go to CSG Actuarial, right? I go to CSG Actuarial, I pull up the plans, I say based, and it'll tell you the lowest cost plans to the most expensive. And sometimes there's a no-name plan at the top, and maybe the second plan is AARP, or the second plan is Aetna or Cigna. And I'll just say, listen, there's Acme Insurance is number one, but you may be more familiar with the number two plan, which is Aetna, and it's only $2 more if you're comfortable with that name and that plan. That would probably be the starting point for you. Does that make sense? Okay, I need your Medicare number. That's it. That's it. Or you could say, what checking account are you paying that out of? Do you have is it your personal account? You know it is. You just ask them that to get where you're going, all right? Yes, you do need a scope for Part D alone, Jeff. Joe Goddard left. Always, but I'm glad he was here. Okay. All right, so, or you could just close with the medical questions, as it says here. So we're giving you a couple closes, okay? Now it's a transition to Medicare Advantage close. Remember, CMS compliance must be addressed in this transition. Below assumes you are taking all steps to be compliant. Based on our conversation, Bob, the program best suited for you is Medicare Advantage. In order to have that conversation, I need to send you a scope of appointment form. This is required by Medicare anytime we discuss Medicare Advantage plan-specific programs. What is better for you, email or text? I can do it by voice if you would like as well. Your plan is going to start the first day of the month you turn age 65. You'll receive a letter with your member ID within the next week or so. That will be followed by your new insurance cards. There will be one card that covers both your medical and your prescription coverage. I need you to get your Medicare card for me. So you're going to receive an email with instructions for a digital signature or whatever. So, and the sales pro tip here is always ask health questions before starting a Medicare Advantage presentation. Once you start that presentation, you can't ask health questions. You can only obtain medications the insured is using. All right, so again, the scope, the process, that is a simple thing to do. It's not a big deal. In the future, you may have to record these calls. I believe that starts. It may start with the AEP, or it may start in the calendar year 2023. I think it would start in the AEP for plans effective for the calendar year 2023. Is how I think they're doing that. But all this remains to be ironed out, and we'll get clarification on that. Having said that, look, Medicare Advantage is it's simple. It's a good product. Never shy away from selling it. It's easy to sell. It's easy to be compliant. And if you are not selling Medicare Advantage because you're afraid, then you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be selling Medicare Advantage. That's all there is to it. If you work with a clientele that needs it. And by the way, there are areas of the country where people don't even want a med sup. Okay? You go in some areas of Florida, California, other areas, There are areas where people, look, they get zero premium, zero doctor out of pocket, zero specialist out of pocket. They pay zero to get to the hospital at some of these plans. And you're going to try to shove $250 a month down their throat for a med sup and a drug card. I'm not saying it's not a better plan for some people. I'm saying if you're trying to pound a square peg in a round hole because that's what suits you, you're doing a disservice to your customer, okay? All right, transition to final expense. Again, if you've created a friend, okay? You've established all this rapport, but you got to the end and you realize, I can't sell them Medicare. They're good. They are good where they are. What are you going to do? Well, I can't sell you Medicare. Sorry about that, Bob. Click. No, it's stupid. Listen, Bob, and here's the transition, all right? Let's read this. All right. There are two possible scenarios for this transition. First, you sold the client a Medicare supplement, and this is an add-on or a package sale. That's for a Medicare supplement. You're not going to do that on Medicare Advantage, and we'll get that's something that has to be addressed by CMS guidelines. The second option is that you did not make a sale. We will address the second option below. All right, here's the important thing. Here's the mechanics of this. You don't try to sell them the Medicare supplement or Medicare plan or any Medicare plan when you know they're already good. You don't shoot your bullets and then realize that you missed and then come back and say, well, do you want to buy a final expense plan? In other words, you don't want to fail. If I go to sell you something and I fail, I have been knocked down a peg. I can, and you can do it. But I can't at that point, I'm going to say I can't at that point, then say, well, how about your final expense? No, you should know that you got the Medicare supplement sale because you've been on the phone with this person forever. You've asked them 1,000 questions. You know all about them. You should know that they're going to buy, you found out that their brother-in-law is their Medicare agent. That's the kiss of death. Or I gave you another example earlier as well, okay? And that's that they have a good agent. Or that they've been with this, they have a plan, their sister has the same plan, their mother has the same plan, their husband has the same plan, and that's it. They all love that plan. Now, sometimes you can move all of them. Sometimes they're just like, they're all happy as pigs rolling around in mud. And there's nothing you're going to do to change that. Don't try to change it. You should know this because everything is there, or the doctor situation. Instead, say, listen, you made a good decision with that plan. So here's the two options I have. One is I try to pound a square peg into a round hole. I make everybody uncomfortable and I fail. Or two, I say, hey, you know what? You made a good decision there. That's a good plan. You made a good decision. Your agent, you got a good agent. They told you, and by the way, don't let anybody else tell you any different. You did make a good choice there. If there's anything that changes, like let's say in the annual enrollment period when they change these plans, if it's a Medicare Advantage, or if I know those rates go up on that Medicare supplement, I'll give you a buzz and let you know. I want you to know I'm here to help you with any of your insurances, okay? And often we find people wasting money on old life insurance policies or accident policies. Sometimes they got policies at the place where they worked. And the bottom line is that these policies, they don't even know what they have sometimes, or their plans aren't what they think they were or are. Having said that, and this is the money line, okay? Having said that, what insurance companies are taking money out of your checking account each month, okay? It's right there. What insurance companies are taking money out of your checking account each month, okay? And you just wait. And they'll say, well, just my life insurance. What do you do? Well, who's that with, right? Who's that with? How much coverage do you have with them? How much does that cost you each month? Who's your agent? Why'd you buy that plan? And remember, when you say, when you ask somebody why they bought a plan, you always say, why'd you buy that plan? That's how you always ask it. Why'd you buy that plan? Because it puts them like, almost puts them, it connotates there's a negative component to that plan, okay? All right? So they may be like, oh, I wonder what's wrong with it. In their mind, it's a second thing. So why'd you buy that plan? Well, I don't know. Oh, okay. Well, maybe that's not the best plan for you, but we'll check it out, okay? Let's keep moving. And who's your agent? When's the last time you spoke to your agent, right? Because all those things are important all over again. It's like we were back where we were with the Medicare agent. Now we're talking about the final expense agent. Oh, you bought that AAR plan. That's a term plan. Well, it may not be. AARP, whenever they say AARP, I say that's actually New York Life, correct? Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's either a very expensive whole life plan, which is cost prohibitive for most people, or I think it's a bad consumer purchase, or it's a term policy, goes up every 5 years and ends when you're age 80. Guess what? You're 65 years old now. Actuarially speaking, you'll live to be past 80 in all likelihood. And, that may or may not be correct. Make sure you're correct in what you say. So that term policy probably is not going to be there when you die. Let's get you something that will make sure that will be there whether you live or die, before age 80, right? So you want to go to the final expense. Why do you want to do this? Because final expense pays you well, right? Final expense pays you well. You better sell it. If you're a rookie, you sell final expense, and that's all there is to it. And when you're established, you don't have to as much. You may want to, but you don't have to. Once you get 300, 400, 500 Medicare Advantage clients or Medicare Supplement clients on the books, then you may just say, hey, you know what? I don't need to do anything else. I'm going to simplify my life, and I'm going to build a better mousetrap, meaning a better system to sell more Medicare policies, okay? But now you got to sell the final expense. You better, because it may not work for you well if you don't, for different reasons, which we won't get into. All right. Okay. By the way, the sales pro tip here: when having a general conversation with your prospect, inquire as to who their current employer coverage is with. If they like that company and you offer the same, that may be your close. For example, if they have Cigna, like Cigna, and you offer Cigna, that may be the path of least resistance. Listen for possible clues that will help you sell later. Man, I can't tell you how many times I sold Aetna or Cigna or Blue Cross. I don't like Blue Cross at all. I hardly ever sell them. But I can't tell you how many times I've sold these policies because that's who they have while they're working and they're turning 65. Oh, you got Cigna? You like Cigna? Well, we got Cigna Med Sup here. You want to go that route? Yeah. You bet I do. All right. Just sign up. It's done. It's just like that. The whole thing took 5 minutes from the time you got them on the phone, right? And that does happen. That does happen. So be alert. All right, let's move on here. Let's move on to the hospital indemnity close. This is set up early in the presentation when you're discussing their Medicare Advantage plan, either when reviewing benefits or discuss of the plan or discussing the MOOP, the maximum out of pocket. Yeah, Dave Silverman says, I sell so much United because they already have it. Oh, hey, Christian, who else is doing the training this in-depth for free? And nobody knows how to train like me, Christian. I'm just kidding. There are good trainers out there, but thank you for that compliment. All right, so let's see here. The hospital indemnity close. This is going to present itself. This is going to present itself when you're talking about the Medicare Advantage plan. They say earlier in the conversation, I've got that Humana Gold Plus plan, okay? And what do you say? Uh-oh, there's a problem there. Oh, really? What's that? Just see, that daily out-of-pocket copay, it's like $350 a day for 5 days. That works out to be like $1,750, something like that. I don't know. I have my calculator here. I can calculate that. And plus, it's usually often preceded by an ambulance ride to the hospital. So let's look at this. That's $350 times 5, which is $1,750. You can tell I've done this before, plus $200 for the ambulance ride. Let me tell you something. You're going to take that ambulance ride, you're going to go to the hospital, you're going to get out of the hospital, and about a month later, you're going to get a bill in the mail, okay? And that bill is going to be for $1,950. Odds are at some point in time, you're going to have a hospital stay. I mean, it happens to many people, you know. So I can make that go away, all right? And it's a little plan. It costs like $30, $40, sometimes as high as $50 a month, but usually around $40 a month. But we'll make that go away. But I do ask them, here's my sequence. I tell them the numbers, $1,950. Do you have that in your checking account? You can write that check next week? No? Don't worry. I'll help you there. There's a little plan that'll pay for that. It costs about $40 a month. But listen, we'll come back to that. Let's stay focused on the Medicare. Okay? That's my trick. I might run into a 401k. Hey, I can help you with that, but let's stay focused on the Medicare. They might say, well, I need life insurance too. Hey, we'll help you with that, but let's stay focused on the Medicare. It establishes you as having integrity and being a professional, that you stay the course, finish what you're doing. Now I come back to that. Now I come back to, let's see. This is set up early in the presentation when you're discussing proposed Medicare Advantage plan, the proposed Medicare Advantage plan, or the Medicare Advantage plan they have, either when reviewing benefits of the plan or discussing the maximum out-of-pocket. You can sell this when you sell a Medicare Advantage plan on the same call, and you should. By the way, if you do, you'll find you'll sell a percentage of them, and if you're not doing it, you better start doing it. You're going to find that maybe I sell this on 20% of all my calls, okay? 20% of all my calls, I sell hospital indemnity. Well, there you go. You know, you've got to make a lot of calls, though. Here's the thing, Mary, you got to be active, busy, and you got to make a lot of calls so that you can, and you got to be constantly, you got to have a busy work schedule on a daily basis so that you can start creating numbers that make sense, that you can build your business upon, okay? That you can have closing percentages, the percentage of calls I sell final expense on, the percentage of calls that I sell hospital indemnity on. You can't do that when you're a typical agent because a typical agent doesn't work hard enough to create any numbers of any sort, okay? So that's important. Okay. Let's see, Bob, let's see, okay. This is going back to, and this is a different form of the presentation. Bob, people often ask me how they can run up the bill on their Medicare Advantage plan. Well, one good way is to spend a week in the hospital. And then I go into those numbers, okay? I just went into. So you get discharged out of the hospital, and a couple weeks later, that bill arrives in your mailbox. In this case, the example I use is $2,000. Is that an easy check for you to write, okay? And then, again, that just completes my thought from what I discussed with you guys earlier, so we'll move on. And again, it says we are planting the seed and at the same time doing a small takeaway, like, hey, I can fix that, but let's focus on the Medicare. That's like a little tiny takeaway. I'll help you with that, but not yet, right? And you show your professionalism by addressing the primary issue at hand, Medicare, later in the sales process. And now we're come back to that. Bob, previously, we discussed the plan that pays that $2,000 hospital inpatient. That hospital inpatient, well, that's a typo. That hospital inpatient hospital cost. That inpatient hospital cost, we'll call it. Let's take care of that now. I'm going to ask you some medical questions to ensure you qualify and then figure your monthly premium. You see how I did that? I'm going to come back to that, and it happens right here. Bob, previously, we discussed the plan that pays that $2,000 hospital inpatient cost. Remember that? Okay, let's take care of that now. I'm going to ask you some medical questions and ensure you qualify, then figure your monthly premium. Right? You got it? Simple enough, isn't it? Just come right back to it. Like, oh, yeah. Well, we don't want to get you in trouble with that mail showing up in your mailbox, do we? Let's take care of that right now. After calculating the rate, ask what checking account that is going to be paid from, and then get the routing number and account number as previously instructed. Again, that's you say, well, which checking account are you going to pay that out of? Okay, your personal, all right, I'm going to need that routing number and that account number, right? And there's your close, okay? All right. Okay. Once the conversation is well underway, relax. The prospect likes you. They would not have allowed you to get this far if they did not like you and have confidence in you. So here's the point. At a certain time, a certain point in the conversation, you need to relax yourself, okay? You can't be just trying to keep them on the phone for 45 minutes. If they're talking to you for a half hour, just relax. You got this, okay? So in other words, I wouldn't worry. Okay, here's the kicker. Don't worry about making the sale. Understand that you want to just have long conversations and don't even worry about the end result of the call. The call may very likely end with nothing, okay? It may end with nothing. And so what? That is worthwhile. That's an hour well invested of your time to sell nothing. Or you could sit around and move papers across your desk, call other people, call a bunch of lead companies, talk to people about leads or super marketing systems or Facebook funnels or this or that, and try to find the easier, faster way to get to where you are, which is sitting at your desk on the phone trying to make a sale. So just relax, talk to the people, right? For God's sakes, somebody's being nice to you. Talk to them. Take as long as it takes. You're going to be able to, if you can do that, that's how you become successful, because you'll be having these long, lengthy conversations and you're going to get sales because of it. All right? Be sure to button up your close. There is one more transition, which we haven't gone over, and that's the annuity. The buttoning up the close, all right, consists of getting referrals. You got to get referrals, all right? Let's see. Let's just read this. Bob, understand that this takes care of 100% of your Medicare insurance needs. If you get a call or a letter that raises concerns about your Medicare, please call me. But again, understand we have fully addressed this matter. You can put this to bed, okay? Let's see. What is this call? One of them needs a Spanish-speaking agent. Oh, okay. Somebody, is that 7 final expense sales? Okay. Oh, no, your telemarketer got 7 appointments. Very good. See you, Dave. Glad you were here. But again, we want to button this up. Relax. Don't talk to anybody else about this, all right? You're good. Just relax. If you've established yourself as the authoritative presence, they like you and they think you're smart. You really know this stuff. Man, they're going to be like, I got my agent. And then you're going to have a follow-up where you're sending them letters and doing a follow-up phone call, text, emails, right? Birthday card, Christmas card, all that stuff. That's what you have to do, all right? You'll retain the vast majority of your business. Bob, previously we discussed that IRA, life insurance, whatever it is. I will call you tomorrow to discuss that. We've done enough for today. You agree? Yes? Okay. Okay, Bob, thank you. I want you to know I appreciate you. And also please know that I will be here today, tomorrow, and next year. I'm not some guy working out of a cubicle in New York City. So that's what it says here. That's what I wrote. So I will say that in the call, earlier in the call, like, look, that agent was probably in a cubicle in New York City. If I'm talking to somebody in South Carolina, I'll say that. There's no referral talk here, but there is a referral talk. Here's the referral talk, okay? Listen, Bob, you responded, you requested information from me on a Facebook advertisement, okay? It cost me a lot of money to place those ads, but most of my clients come by word of mouth, by referral. And Bob, if you can help me, which I hope you can, what I would like is that if there's anybody that you know that would need my services, that you could give me their names and phone numbers. Can't do this on Medicare Advantage, remember that. Bob, let me ask you this. Who is it in your family? Do you have any brothers or sisters, cousins, or anybody that are on Medicare? And then just again, you want to put your pen in your hand, put your pen on the piece of paper. You want to have a referral sheet for that client, and you want to be ready to write these numbers down, okay? Okay, Bob, how about at your church or anything like that? Are anybody you used to work with? You need a memory jogger, okay? That's what we teach for our agents. We have to give them a memory jogger. And but you need to do this every single time. This is the problem. Agents don't do what they're supposed to do. You ask for referrals every single time. And guess what? You get referrals. And guess what the easiest sale is? Referrals. All right? Listen, I appreciate you guys being here. I think that we've covered enough. Does anybody have any final questions? They could type them in there. I will hang here for a minute or two or three or four. I'll hang as long as to answer the questions. If you don't have questions, that's fine. I know I covered things pretty thoroughly. And this has been a lengthy call. It's an hour and a half. Again, this is important stuff, okay? But I'll wrap this up. Thank you, and Unicorn. Jeff, you're in our training, you can get other scripts. But here's what's important, is that the information I go over here is correct, okay? This is what I want you to understand. There are no easy paths. I'm gonna tell you guys, again, I did training for a major insurance benefit company, all right? A company called Alight. You may not have heard of Alight, but they're an incredibly large company, okay? And I trained for their Medicare call center. And I would listen to live transfers, okay? Live transfers. And guess what? There's live transfers where no better a lead. These are live transfers, okay? Or no better a lead than what our agents get in my agency through telemarketing. My point is that there are no easy leads. You got to do it the way I told you. You got to have your rebuttals down. There are going to be no easy sales. You're going to have knee-jerk rejection up front. You need to be able to handle that. You need to be able to move forward past an objection with a strong rebuttal. Hey, I understand you don't like me. However, what's important is that you get your benefits correct. So having said that, let me ask you one more time. When did you become eligible for Medicare? Okay? So again, it doesn't matter what they say. You've got to be strong, stay in there, and guess what? After a while, once they settle down, they're going to like you. They're going to help. They're going to want, again, remember that customer's journey. They want to reject you, then there's that interim period where they come to believe in you, right? And at the end, they become your proponent, your advocate, your fan. They're literally a walking billboard for you, the agent. That's what you want. And you can do that by taking your time. And you can be their family agent over the phone. You can be their family agent over the phone. And that's what you want. That's really what you want. And listen, I believe we've covered enough here. Let's see. T65 door knocking does work. Oh, let's see. Can we get a copy of your flow and script? Malcolm, you send me an email and we'll get that to you. Let's see. And that's it, folks. If there's anybody else, you can send me an email, nick@medicaremillionaire.com, to get our information. Hey, if you want to do business with us, we're open to that as well. That's really why I'm doing this. Did I fail to mention that? All right, guys. I appreciate you being here. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon.